Shalom, Yashrala. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, pushing this truth and sincerity in the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to go into this here article here dealing with Venezuela, because Venezuela is still in the news topic. You still got this so-called this ongoing failed coup attempt going on over here in Venezuela. All right. And as this here article is going into, it's pretty much shaping up to be like the same thing that happened in Syria. It's basically like they say, they had that little saying, whatever it is, like same song, different day or whatever. Pretty much it's the same, it's the same coup, just a different country, But nevertheless, this here article says events in Venezuela are similar to what happened in Syria. Assad tells visiting foreign minister. It says the war in Syria has much in common with the political crisis crippling Venezuela, where outside players try to meddle in domestic affairs and undermine sovereignty. Syria President Bashar Assad told Venezuela foreign minister. And this is exactly what's going on. This is what they call pretty much a proxy war. All right. So instead of like, let's say America going head to head with Syria. All right. They'll send in, which they'll kind of go into in this here article. They'll send in basically, paid mercenaries, people to go in there and do the dirty work for them. Or for a different scenario, let's say America and Russia's trying to fight each other, but they're not fighting, how they would say, a hot war. They're not fighting one another head on. They'll pretty much have a proxy war. So you'll pretty much see things happen like, Russia will back one side and America will back another side, and then they'll have these two proxies fight it out in some other territory. All right. But nevertheless, this is pretty much what's been going on. All right. So continuing on, it says what is happening in Venezuela is similar to the development in Syria. Bashar Assad told George Aranza during his visit to Damascus, as quoted by the Russian media. Those interfering in both crises seek hegemony over Syria and Venezuela's sovereignty, Assad claimed. And that's true. This is what America's ultimate goal is, like the scripture said, earth is given into the hand of the wicked. They want to have their hand on all the resources on the planet earth, all right, to dominate everybody, have everybody under their rulership. All right. It says slamming the U.S.-led flagrant interference in Venezuela's domestic affairs in Syria. The Syrian president says sanctions and embargoes became playbook examples of pressuring anyone who does not adhere to their policy. And that's pretty much one of their main weapons of war that they've been using, all right, against these other nations is what? They're different sanctions and embargoes, all right, pretty much cutting off, different trade routes and things, just like in the old ancient days when they had these wars and things like that, you had these massive cities with the wall villages, whatever, whatnot. They was highly fortified. So you wasn't really just running up into another kingdom like that. You know what I'm saying? But what the how do you say, the people that was coming up against them would do was they were like, all right, well, especially this here city that's a city that's walled off. They get all their stuff from how they say import and everything. What we'll do is we'll cut off their trade route. All right, we'll cut off their food supply from coming into the city, or we'll cut off their water supply because maybe they have a off-site water well, that they're drawing water, bringing it into their town or their city. All right, well, what we'll do is we'll dry up that water well so no water goes in, or we'll cut off the food supply from going in so that, the people will wind up starving. All right, so then finally, they'll come to a point to where it's either they'll open the door to come out looking for food, or we'll just, eventually climb over the wall, and we'll take out everybody else that's in there. It's already, that's a lot from, starvation and things like that, But nevertheless, this is what you see going on today in modern days times. All right. America's coming out with their sanctions and things like that. All right. Well, you have to ask the question of why Cuba's pretty much like, stuck in time, frozen in the 50s and things like that. All right. It's because these different sanctions that America's put on them. All right. And you've seen this with a lot of these other countries as well. They'll set up certain things where they can't trade or anything like that. All right. Plus the ongoing debacle with this Juan Guaido guy and things like that, and how they're putting these sanctions on Venezuela, where their which is state-run gasoline, what's it called? Can't even think of the name. PDS or Petrovesa or something like that, I believe it's called. But nevertheless, their main headquarters over here in, I believe in Texas somewhere. All right. But nevertheless, they can't get their money out. All right. You can't withdraw none of your money. It's like saying, somebody sent you a, you know, a wire transfer to your bank. Somebody put some money into your bank, but you can't go to an ATM or a branch to withdraw that money out. Yeah, the money's in your account, but if you can't withdraw it, it's not really no good to you. All right. So these are a lot of the things that's crippling Venezuela right now due to these sanctions. All right. And then not only that, they have all these other things that's going on. You have the propaganda going on over there talking about how Maduro's trying to starve his people out, and which the people don't realize that, let's just say, their government is making their income based off of this oil and other things like that, other trades and things like that. But if they can't get their money, all right, from off of all their transactions, they can't, it's a trickle down effect. The government has to bring in money to be able to pay their employees, just like any other company. McDonald's need to be able to sell some damn burgers before they can pay their employees, right? But if McDonald's is over here selling burgers all day and they're putting their money into the bank account, but then they can't pay their employees, you see what I'm saying? It's not that the owners of McDonald's don't want to pay their employees. It's that the bank has got a freeze on the accounts right now. Yo, we can't get the money out. It's no good to us. All right. This is pretty much what America's doing with Venezuela's money. They're not allowing them to get their money. They're saying they're saying Juan Guaido is the president. They're trying to get back him and stack him up with the money and things like that. All right. So when it comes down to the military and all the other government functions that's still under Nicolas Maduro's control, because he's the actual president over there. All right. All these different things, they're not being able to be paid. Just like here in America, when they was having this debacle over funding for the wall because Donald Trump couldn't get what he wanted at a certain time. They pretty much they stopped the funding for the government. All right. So what? The government didn't have any funds to pay any of its bills. This is why you had a lot of these people that work for the government in different departments and whatnot, not getting their paychecks. All right. So, I mean, no matter which way you want to look at it, like, well, the government's starving out their people. Well, okay, well, then Donald Trump was starving out his own people when he had the government shut down. All right. But nobody's trying to overthrow him. All right. But at the same time, this is a little different because it's not that, you know what I'm saying, Nicolas Maduro is trying to get people to vote for him. And he's just like, you know what, we're going to just shut down parts of the government until you people vote for me. That's what Donald Trump did. This situation is homeboy's got the money. He's trying to, well, not to say he's got the money. He's in control to where he's in a position to be able to pass this here money down. But however, if he can't get the money out of the accounts, he can't pass it down. So this is where the story of him starving out his people or whatever or whatnot come from. All right. Then America, just like it's going to get into this here article. All right. They're trying to send over their so-called foreign aid, where Venezuela is like, listen, we'll take foreign aid from anybody who want to give us foreign aid, but we don't want foreign aid from America. Venezuela has been taking in foreign aid from these different countries. All right. Now, there's been stories. I've been trying to find some concrete story about this S-300 system over in Venezuela, or it's either the S-3 or S-400 system in Venezuela. All right. Now, come to find out, I did find a little bit more onto that. But come to find out, Russia didn't just bring this system over there just now. All right. What happened was they brought it over there. I believe it was Hugo Chavez who wound up pinning the deal. The deal didn't go through until a little bit later. I want to say around like maybe 2013 or something like that. All right. And now they're going over this time for so-called service. So they're sending so-called servicemen over there. Now, however, this could be propaganda on both sides because America say the same thing. I remember there was a situation where there was like some drills going on over there with North Korea, I think, something like that. And then America was, or Russia, somewhere over there, and America all of a sudden wants to go over there and have a so-called drill at the same time, or something like that to that extent, just to go so-called pop up over there saying, oh, no, we've been had these things going on. But nevertheless, it was pretty much to try to provoke them, the other side. So we don't really know, what the whole situation is behind all of these things. But nevertheless, there are talks of Russian military equipment over there. Well, there is Russian military equipment over there. They spotted it on pictures and things like that, and they're actively readying their system. All right. But nevertheless, you also have some Russian troops that went over there, and some Chinese troops that went over there. All right. And they're all trying to protect their interests that they have over there, because Venezuela is taking out loans or whatnot, has certain promissories that they have to pay back to these countries, And so let's say for China's done invested a whole lot. It's like this. China didn't let Nicolas Maduro or Venezuela and them borrow $1,000, right? Now, yeah, they let Venezuela borrow $1,000. Nicolas Maduro is the head of this here company, right? Let's just say it's a company. He's the president of this here company, right? Not saying that, just like the president of Walmart or the president of any store, just because he's the president of this here store, when they get the money and they take for at the end of the night, he's not taking that shit home. That's not his money. All right. So for people who keep saying that he's trying to steal the gold and he's trying to take the gold, it's not his goal, or the resources. It's not his. It's not like he's trying to take these resources back to his house and pocket it for his own private saying. No, he's the head of this here country, the president of the country. So he's in control of all these things. Just like if you're the president of Walmart, whatever, whatnot. All right. When they say that, Walmart brought in X amount of dollars, or they profited X amount of dollars, the president of the company not pocketing that money. All right. But nevertheless, going back into this here situation, all right, they over here, how do I say, coming up with all these different propaganda pieces against both sides. All right, well, against Venezuela and also Russia. So, it's not really a clear story, but what we do know is, the one clear thing that we do know is, according to the scriptures, what's coming to pass. All right, all these things are being led up to for what? World War III. All right, these are all things that's leading Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, to this here trick bag that's going to bring his ass into World War III, where all these other nations are going to turn upon him. All right, so let me just go ahead and finish out with this here article, and I'm gonna grab that in the scriptures. All right, it says Azara visited Damascus while touring other countries in the region, including Turkey and Lebanon. Earlier this year, opposition leader Juan Guaido declared himself interim president. Now, real quick on this interim president, it's funny how they keep using this here word. Now, when you go into all of this, all right, the way that Venezuela has it set up, that somebody can pretty much claim to be interim president, all right, but this gives you a 30-day window to call for re-elections. Now, the 30-day window has far been gone, all right? It's been gone a long time ago, and he's never called for re-elections, or a new election, all right? So nevertheless, this is just some bullshit that America is steadily pushing, all right? But nevertheless, continuing on, it says, and another thing with this Juan Guaido, they've been trying to arrest him, so now, they told that they had the country on lockdown to where, with the aid coming in, they had the country on lockdown because they knew America was trying with this coup attempt. They locked down the borders of Brazil and I think Colombia, which are both countries where America has a stronghold over, which they're trying to invade from those countries as well. All right. But nevertheless, what you call these people, Venezuela, they closed the borders and restricted aid coming from America in those countries. But nevertheless, they took the aid from other countries. However, you have this Juan Guaido dude, all right? So homeboy, right? They told him that he couldn't leave the country, and they put a travel ban on him, all right? And he still wound up leaving the country, going over to Colombia and Brazil, all right? So they've been kind of looking for a reason, not a reason, but a loophole in their system, more or less, to say to be able to arrest this dude. Now the Supreme Court is trying to push forward towards that. So you can look for this, coming up in the further days, whether or not they try to actually arrest him and what America's going to do, because this is pretty much America's puppet in this whole situation. All right. So it says earlier this year, opposition leader Juan Guaido declared himself interim president, garnering unconditional support and recognition from a series of states, including the U.S. and other Western powers. Washington has even mulled the so-called humanitarian intervention in order to remove the unwanted government of Nicolas Maduro from power. I did a video on this, a little while back, talking about, how Esau uses this humanitarian aid as a weapon. All right. Or like the scripture also said, gift destroyeth the heart. All right. Because why? The so-called white man come over here bringing you these gifts. What he say is gifts, the so-called help your people out, liberate your people, bring freedom to your people. But what? All he do is bring what? Free doom. He come over there and destroy your ass for free. Or not really for free. He make your ass pay for it. All right. He make you pay for your own death. All right. It says, the Syrian conflict started on the heels of, now this is going to go into the Syria situation and how this is our same playbook that's been going on over and over and over again. We should have learned our lesson from Iraq, but we didn't. All right. It says the Syrian conflict started on the heels of an anti-government demonstration inspired by the 2011 Arab Springs unrest. All right. Now, when you really go deeper into all of this, this was really a, this kind of like spiraled out of control. If you can remember with the Hillary Clinton situation with the Benghazi, all right, when they was talking about Benghazi and, the attacks that happened over there, right? So you have to go back to Muammar Gaddafi, right? After they took him out of power. So they took him out of power. They always had the sights set on Syria, but they wound up taking him out of power, destabilize his country. All right. Then they went in and set up their own little, how do you say, little safe spots or whatever, whatnot, these little embassies or whatever over there into Libya. All right. So what they wound up doing was funneling guns in through what I believe it was Tripoli. All right. And then all the way down through Benghazi. All right. Now they wound up, the locals wound up finding out about this shit and they wound up getting upset about it. All right. So they wound up trying to go over there and storming this little embassy, or i.e. they tried to storm the secret hideout of the goddamn American spies that was coming over there to set up the damn terrorists. You know, and they'll kind of touch on this in this here article, but nevertheless, this was America propaganda, the Arab Springs that was going over there propagandizing these nations, making them turn on their governments. They was over here sending in operatives or CIA-backed specialists or whatever, whatnot, to train and recruit so-called terrorists, all right, or so-called opposition fighters. You see what I'm saying? Which we will find out to become terrorists, all right. So this is why when they say that, you know, America armed really Al-Qaeda, really going back to Al-Qaeda, you know, that was a proxy military that they was fighting against Russia back in the damn day, all right. That was, you know, they created them to go fight with Russia as a proxy military, all right. But fast forward to today, they did the same thing, and this is where you get ISIS from. This is where they get the terms. You know, America is the one who created all these terrorists. America is the terrorist. You know, America created ISIS. Yeah, they created ISIS in multiple different ways. This is one of the ways they actually created it. But when you look at the movie, one of these Iron Man movies, you can go on YouTube and search this up, called The Mandarin. All right, that's another reason, another tool and reason why they use these damn proxies for these things. All right, to create a so-called boogeyman just to go in and so-called wage a war in that country. All right, so going back, because like this whole thing is predicated off of what? Well, we're about to read it right here. All right, not, you know, America really wanted to take out Bashar al-Assad. You see what I'm saying? The leader of Syria, but they couldn't just go on TV and say, yeah, we want to kill this nigga. All right. But that's pretty much what they're saying nowadays with Nicolas Maduro. But nevertheless, they try to play it a little different way. So this is how it went. It says the Syrian conflict started on the heels of anti-government demonstration inspired by the 2011 Arab Springs unrest, which there was no real unrest. This was all propaganda by the Americans. The Americans went over there and they set up these damn groups to so-called overthrow these their governments. This is the regime change, all right? Step one from America, all right? Protests erupted in several major cities, with opposition protesters demanding that Assad step down. Some of the anti-government groups took up arms and violence rapidly escalated, sending the country into civil war. Now, this is where the lie starts, right? There was no real civil war in this country. These people are the people that America is pretty much sitting over here. Well, let me just keep reading. It says some of these anti-government groups took up arms and violence rapidly escalated, sending the country into civil war. Most Western countries unambiguously supported the anti-Assad factions, declaring that the president has lost his legitimacy. So, did the president lose his legitimacy before or after he so-called was attacking or defending himself against these protesters? All right. They would say, oh, well, he's killing his own people. Well, these people that you claim are his people are not his people. These are basically Western-backed militant groups that you Americans are pretty much using as a proxy to set up. All right. And this is where you get ISIS from. All right. Because, again, they was running arms into Libya through Benghazi. All right. Wound up getting caught. And just like all the other times that you've seen on the news where ISIS was getting all their guns, all their weapons, all their pickup trucks, all their tanks, everything that they wound up getting was all leftover American military equipment that America kept leaving over there. All right. So, like, yo, you the one trained these people. You the ones recruited these people. You the one started this uprising. And you the one left the ammo over there, the arms over there. You the ones armed these people. You see what I'm saying? All right. So it says the militant groups took over control of vast parts of Syria during the civil war, chaos, and the rise of the Islamic State and other terrorists. So they tell you that ISIS basically came up out of this whole situation. All right. So this started out as a so-called Free Syrian Army or whatever, whatnot, which was backed by basically America on all their propaganda and all their so-called financial backings and things like that. And then it morphed into what? ISIS. All right. It says a large portion of these so-called moderate rebels backed and funded by the West while fighting the Syrian army, all right, turned out to be radical Islamic militants. All right. No, these people was basically how you say, they was turned out by America. All right. America wanted turning these people out for the love of the money, man. They went over there and paid these people off, and that's what they wound up doing. All right. Just like how here in America they got a term called like so-called patsies or whatever, whatnot, where they can find so-called Americans to carry out certain tasks against America. or fuck that. You ain't even got to go that deep because we talking to Jake. Jake know about how they got snitches and rats or police informants in the hood. All right, they'll have somebody that look just like you that'll be pretty much working on their side to infiltrate your group. All right, this is the so-called white man. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing new under the sun. He the same yesterday, the same to damn day, man. All right. So it says, it says even the U.S. had to admit its training program of the Syrian opposition fighters had failed, as it proved difficult to find enough moderates, and some of who did receive training infamously gave up hardware and arms to terrorist groups, including an Al-Qaeda affiliate, which it's ISIS. All right. So you see what I'm saying? It's even drawn out right here how because America went over there with their propaganda, tried to overthrow the government for a regime change for the benefit of their own pockets and to fill their own belly. All right. Then that didn't work out. So they had to go over there with the terrorists to try to make a, order out of chaos type situation, cause as much chaos as possible, and then trying to bring order in, trying to make yourself look like the police or the Justice Department. We're trying to clean this all up. You guys can't govern yourself. Look at you animals. You see what I'm saying? So this is what happens, look at the sentiment of most, Muslims in America. When you ask Americans about Muslims, you think, oh, these are some crazy motherfuckers. All they want to do is blow shit up. You see what I'm saying? Why is that? Because of the propaganda that America has pushed onto its own people about these people just to go over there and blow up all of their shit. You see what I'm saying? But nevertheless, this is pretty much looking like the same ass shit. This is the beginning half of how all this starts, over in Iraq. Oh, they got weapons of mass destruction. Saddam trying to kill his own people. Well, after you took down Saddam, all right, and then after you went down in Libya and took down Muammar Gaddafi and things like that, all right, you had what? You had the form of basically, and then when you finished it off in Syria, all right, that's what I believe ISIS name started out becoming with to begin with. It was like the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, all right, but nevertheless. All these things happened because America started going over to meddling in these places to so-called destabilize this, just to go over there and say, you know what, we'll fix it all. It's just like when you see in that, I don't know if it's a cartoon or whatever, whatnot, you actually got a perfectly fine house or whatever, whatnot. You got some inspector come in to inspect your house or whatever, whatnot, but they want to come and make some money or whatever, whatnot, or your car, your car's perfectly fine. And you just come in to get it inspected, but they want to make some money. So they'll go in there and they'll break this and break that and tell you this is gone and that's gone. Like, oh, we got to inspect your car. Oh, we noticed that you low. Actually, your car don't got no windshield wiper or no turn signal fluid. They'll tell you that your car all low on turn signal fluid and shit like that. And you'd be like, oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead and fill that up. Like, wait a minute. Your turn signals don't need no fluid. But see, you don't know no better. And they can, take this advantage over you. You see what I'm saying? But nevertheless, this is, what it's all shaping up, looking like it's going to be the same thing over there. All right. And we all know these are all pretty much things that's going to lead America to its own destruction, into World War III. All right. So hang tight and I'm going to pull out some scriptures real quick. All right. We're going to start here in the book of Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. And what is this here vision talking about? It's talking about the prophecy that the seers saw, the prophets foresaw. They saw it in the future. You see what I'm saying? This is what's going on right now. All right. And these things that was written down, like the scripture said, the things written 4 times written for our learning and our understanding. So going into these here prophecies that was written way back then. All right. This was a so-called vision that they saw in the future. You see what I'm saying? They hadn't came to pass yet. All right. So it says, for the vision or the prophecies, all right, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. All right, meaning it is for a certain time to come. All right. So if I say, look, man, all right, so you look at those old ass clocks or whatever, whatnot, got the little bird at the 12 o'clock thing or whatever, whatnot, or they play the little chime, you're a little kid and you looking at the thing, you waiting, for the little bird to pop out and the music to play. And your parent got to tell you, like, look, man, the bird not going to pop out and the music not going to play until every time it gets on to, a certain hour. Every at the top of every hour is pretty much when that's going to happen. So you over here looking at the clock at 3:15, once it hit that 15-minute mark, that bird's not coming out, man. You're looking for it at the wrong time. All right. The appointed time for this to come is at the top of every hour. All right. So it says the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. All right. So some people, heavily among our own people, that's in these churches and things like that, or just our people in general, you know, and when talking about the Bible, they're like, yeah, that's for a long time to come. Hopefully the Lord ain't gonna come back in my lifetime, or they ain't gonna be in my lifetime, or whatever, whatnot, you know, or they see these prophecies, or they hear us, you know, even, you know, the men of the Lord, constantly going in and on about these same lessons, wars and rumors of wars, and the RFID chip, being the mark of the beast, all these different things, you know, Babylon the Great, Esau going into slavery, the Israelites being gathered back up, you know, although we constantly tell you the same things over and over and over again, you know, these things are written for an appointed time. You see what I'm saying? And they're going to happen at that appointed time that they was written to happen at. All right. Just like the bird on the clock, man, you looking at the wrong time. And it's like, man, this bird ain't gonna never come out and the music ain't gonna never play. Like, yo, man, it's 3:10. All right. The next hand that is going to get on, or the next number is going to get on, it'll be 3:15. All right, you got to wait all the way around till they get to the top of the hour, man. Because you waiting on it every 5 minutes to go off, it's not going to go off at that time, man. So you looking in the wrong time and in the wrong season. All right, but even though it's 12:01 right now, you know what I'm saying? You got 59 minutes before you can see that bird to come out again. You know, though it tarried, though it's going to be a little while, you know what I'm saying? It's going to still come, all right? So let me read this again. It says, for the vision is yet for a appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it shall surely come. It will not tarry. All right. And that's talking about these here prophecies. All right. So you can't be sleeping on these prophecies. Oh, they ain't going to come, not in my lifetime, whatever, whatnot. Hey, man, though it tarry, wait for it. It shall surely come. All right. Verse 4, behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by faith. Yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and his death cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. All right. This is going into the so-called white man. His soul is lifted up in him. He's proud as hell, man. All right. He's a super proud man. All right. Walking around, like he with the Titanic. God himself can't bring this down. You know what I'm saying? America gonna go on forever. We're the greatest nation on the earth. God himself can't even fight our military, whatever, whatnot. You know, the homeboy is just proud. We're going to live forever, man. Who's going to stop us? All right. This is the so-called white man that we talking about. All right. It says, yea, also because he transgresses by wine. All right. And a lot of his, how do you say his, the doctrines and things that he push, or these, laws and things that he push, or these, how do you say these, not to say bills, or these, when they write these little things together with these other people, like, not to say a treaty, but pretty much like something like a treaty. You know, you're coming in together with you're making it basically like a covenant with these other nations, pretty much, I'll use that word for lack of a better term. You know, they make these fake ass covenants with these other nations, but then they wind up breaking them all the time. You see what I'm saying? They make these deals with them. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. We'll wind up getting y'all out of debt. Just sign on, take an IMF loan. All right. You know what I'm saying? And we'll back you with this or whatever, whatnot, or, join up with us with this situation, whatever, whatnot, we'll wind up backing you. All right. But nevertheless, they wind up, breaking all their promises. All right. Or they wind up, how do you saying, using that to their advantage, like, oh, I thought you was going to help us, if we help you, and then vice versa. Like, yeah, we'll help, you got to help us out, we'll help you in return. But then when it's time for you to help them out, it's like, well, we kind of busy right now. And then you always busy. So they wind up always helping you, but you never help them. All right. This is the so-called white man, how he transgressed by his damn wine, man. This is why the nation, or why the scriptures say, the nations have drunk of her wine, and they are mad. You know what I'm saying? They didn't, this is that strong drink that they over here drinking. All right. But now they starting to sober up, like, man, what kind of bullshit is this, man? All right. You got us all fucked up right now, man. You didn't got us damn all liquored up or whatever. You done drugged us all up and then took advantage of us, man. You done ran our pockets, man. You done slipped us some shit in our drink, and we done passed out, and we done woke up. Our wallets was empty, man. All right. This is what's going on with these other nations right now. All right. It says, yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and his death cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. All right. So homeboy can't never keep his ass at home, even though America's over here in the Western hemisphere. All right. And it ain't really shit over here besides the United States, the United States, Canada, Central and South America, pretty much. That's pretty much all that's over here. Right. But the majority of the shit that's popping off in the world, or not to say that, but the majority of the people in the world on the other side. All right. So basically America's pretty much secluded over here by themselves over here. All right. But nevertheless, they got to be, they can't just be cool over here chilling on their own. They got to go back on the other side of the damn globe and start terrorizing that side of the planet too. You see what I'm saying? They on all four corners of the earth doing damage all over the place. They down there in the South China Sea, telling China they don't have rights to the Spratly Islands. Like, yo, nigga, this is called the South China Sea. What the hell is America doing way over here telling China they ain't got no business in the South China Sea? You see what I'm saying? Hey, he need to keep it at home, all right? Who enlarges his desire as hell, and his death cannot be satisfied, all right? And just like the damn grave, as long as there's people being born on the earth, the grave gonna always constantly keep filling up. And that's how, if the grave is pretty much like the belly or somebody eating, every time a person go into the grave, it's like somebody just keep filling their mouth, right? All right, as long as there's somebody gonna be being born on the planet Earth, they gonna constantly be eating. Same with the so-called white man. All right, he ain't never satisfied. He just constantly eating, devouring everybody else's resources. All right. So it says, but gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. All right. And he ain't doing this to just so-called bring everybody together and kumbaya it out like that. Nah, he bringing everybody together so he can reign over top of them. He's like, look, we need to all come together. You know what I'm saying? Look at all his United Nations and all these different things like that. All these different organizations where everybody's brought together with these summits. You know what I'm saying? Like with the United Nations, this motherfucker is pretty much the one who is the backbone of all these things, right? The biggest payer in all these different things, whatever, whatnot, And if people try to step out of line or don't want to go down down that path with them, they want to sit here and basically put sanctions on them or bring war and death to them. You see what I'm saying? For not taking heed to what the UN say, the UN Security Council or whatever, whatnot. And they urge all these different nations to come against them, like with NATO, all right, and the EU. They'll use their military arm. But however, when there's a flip side to that, and America wound up breaking laws inside the UN or whatever, whatnot, they just ignore it and can't nobody really do nothing about it. You see what I'm saying? So, hey man, this is the plan and the purpose of the so-called white man of gathering all these nations unto him so he can reign over top of them all. It's not the fact that he want to bring everybody together and we can all be co-equal rulers. Nah, I'm about to bring y'all ass, up under me so I can rule over top of y'all. I got way more control over top of you the closer you are to me. If y'all far out doing y'all own thing, I can't see what y'all doing. You see what I'm saying? I need y'all close up under me so I can reign over top of you and you know what I'm saying, micromanage your ass all day. What you doing? What you over there doing? Why you breathing hard? What's going on? You look like you got some extra gold up under there we ain't taxing. You see what I'm saying? This is what's going on. Why he want to gather everybody up under him. All right, he wants to rule over the whole planet Earth. Like the scriptures say, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. All right. Verse 6, it says, shall not all these take up a parable against him, a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. All right, that's what you're doing right now. You increasing unto yourself all this stuff that's not yours, man. You and all these other nations taking up all these other resources and all this other stuff, man. These other nations are getting tired of all this, all right? Then as well, look at your damn debt rate, man. You got all this debt. You need to be worrying about paying that off. You don't need to be trying to take out extra loans to go to extra war. Like, yo, bro, you seriously in debt from the war that you started back in 2001. All right. And then now you still out there in Syria, barely scraping along over there. Now you trying to move over into Venezuela. All right. Now you see what I'm saying? You're going to fight a war in Venezuela. Well, war costs money. That means you got to go further into debt to go fight a war in Venezuela. All right. And then you still trying to fight another war or pick up a war in Iran. All right. So that's going to cost you even more money. Then ultimately just to fight another war, with possibly North Korea, and then one with China, and then Russia. You see what I'm saying? So you got all this different shit popping off right now. All right. And you just constantly just digging yourself further and further into debt. All right. Trying to steal everybody else's stuff. All right. Verse 7, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee? Thou shalt be for booties unto them, because thou hast spoiled many nations. All the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. All right. And so, let me just keep reading. Verse 9, woe to him that coveteth in evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. And this is exactly what the so-called white man has done, man. He's cut off all these different nations. All right. He didn't cut off all these different people in these nations and stolen their resources and all these different things. All right. But what? You also put this on all of your people, because why? Only really the elites over here in America is really benefiting from the things. The elites of the elites are the ones that's benefiting from your plundering with your military and things like that. All right. So when you look around these other countries and things like that, these people hate, Americans, right? They're not saying, oh, we hate the elites of the Americans. No, we hate all y'all motherfuckers. And when they come over there like Russia, all right, in a scenario where they talk about, with this thermonuclear weapons and stuff like that, they have to retaliate. Or let's just say the elites in American government or military decided to strike Russia out of their own means, whereas the majority of the population of America don't agree with that, all right, then Russia wound up retaliating. They're not going to just retaliate on the elites like that. All right, they're going to retaliate on America. All right, the American civilians and the population here is going to wind up taking that brunt. So what? You know, especially the rest of these, really it's these Edomites. You see what I'm saying? All right, because why? All right, the so-called white man is the one doing this, and he's the one bringing this damn evil down upon them. All right, these regular low level ass Edomites that ain't really doing shit that you want. Well, not all the white men. All white men ain't evil. You know, those type of people that you come across, but I ain't really seen nothing evil that he wound up doing. Well, guess what? First of all, the Most High deal with nations as a whole. Second of all, like, yo, man, just like here. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like us, all of us didn't want to going off for all of us to go into captivity, but we all went into captivity. And just because your upper elites is doing this, all right, let me read this again. It says, verse 10, verse 9, it says, woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. All right, and so this is pretty much what he wound up doing. You know, he wound up bringing hell on all his people, all right, for the shit that he wound up doing. All right, this is what the so-called white man is wound up doing. This is why all of America gonna wind up being destroyed. All the Edomites gonna wind up being destroyed, all right? Let's go in the book of Isaiah real quick. Isaiah 14 and 6, all right? This is still talking about Babylon, the so-called white man, all right? He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruleth the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth. All right, so this is talking about what? The so-called white man. All right, he's the one who's smiting the people in wrath with a continual stroke, man. You just beating the damn people for no reason, man. You just, you know, you like that iconic dude that everybody always talk about, you know, when they talk about men beating women, men just randomly come home out of nowhere and just beat his wife for no reason. You see what I'm saying? But that's pretty much what the white man is doing. Like, yo, man, you just rolling up on these different nations and beating the shit out of them because the sky is blue today. You see what I'm saying? You just woke up and beat the shit out of these other nations because the sun came up today. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's no real reason for it. You just doing it. Well, the real reason is because you did the damn devil. But nevertheless, you just, beating the people with a continual wrath, man. All right. It says, let me jump down real quick. Verse 16, it says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake the kingdoms, that made the world a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, and opened not the house of his prisoners? All right, starting on open not the house of his prisoners. I mean, just why you got the so-called Negroes out here crying for reparations and talking about ADOS, American descendants of slavery right now, because we still in captivity up under the so-called white man. All right, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, we all up under the so-called white man, still in this here captivity. He refused to let his slaves go, like the scriptures say. All that took them captives, basically held them and refused to let them go, roughly paraphrasing. All right, but going back up, it says, they that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble and did shake its kingdoms, that made the world a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof? All right. Now, when you go into this, who is the one nation that's doing this onto the planet Earth? Who is the one nation going inside of all these other nations and bombing the shit out of them and destroying all these nations and displacing all these people on the planet Earth? All right, you have a huge so-called immigration problem, whatnot, however you want to call it, with the so-called Muslims. All right, with refugees from Syria and Libya and Iraq and places like that. All right, you have a big surge of these refugees running around because of who? The so-called white man went over there. All right, you have the same thing going on over in Europe and all these different places, South Africa, all over the place, really, because of why? The so-called white man has stepped foot into these different places. All right, this is why all these different places are all being destroyed and trampled underfoot, because of the so-called white man stepped his little red ass over there. All right, he only bring death and destruction with him. All right, from there I'm gonna go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50 and verse 3. It says, I'm gonna start at verse 2. It says, declare ye among the nations, and publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. That's what we're doing right now. We publishing and concealing not this here message. Say, Babylon is taken, Bel is confounded, Merodach is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded, her images are broken pieces. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. All right, so here coming up out of the north country is what? This here great nation. All right, let me jump down a little bit to verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon, all right, talking about here in America, an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrow shall be as a mighty expert man, and none shall return in vain. All right. So basically, this is talking about where was it? Where it says this is the whole purpose. Nevertheless, but this is pretty much there was a scripture down here that says this is the whole purpose upon the land. Basically, that the Most High was going to bring this here destruction on the so-called white man, or mainly here in America. All right, the Most High has got these Americans into a trick bag. All right, they're the ones over here plundering and things like that. You know what I'm saying? They over here the products deceived them. All right, they over here thinking that they're gonna keep going on forever and forever. They could just keep doing what they've been doing pretty much since they got into that power seat. But nevertheless, the Most High is taking that power away from him, all right, and he's starting to fail at everything he's doing, all right. He's taking the curses up off of us and putting them on the so-called white man. But here, as you see, you know, he's over here plundering in these other nations. But the days of his plundering, all right, is coming to an end, all right. These days are all coming to a cease, all right. And the further and further he keep trying to reach, the further and further he keep getting caught into this here trap, all right. So we're gonna start here in, or we're gonna actually end off here in the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38. It says Ezekiel 38 and start from the top. And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith Yahweh power, behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back, and I will put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth. All right, so turn them back. Why? Because Russia, after what the Cold War ended, all right, and the USSR fell, you know what I'm saying? Russia pretty much was in a low state. They was, you know, the economy was down. You see what I'm saying? The military was down. They had just broken up from this big conglomeration of nations. All right, so they was pretty much in a rebuilding phase. All right, but then you had what? The time of it was somewhere around the time frame when George Bush was president. All right, when Vladimir Putin came into office, all right, and decided to turn Russia around. All right, so then they started out with the economy. Well, they started purging a system of all these the people that was, you know, basically fleecing Russia. All right, then they wound up turning the economy around. They brought the Olympics over there, so on and so forth. All these things to build up their country and things like that. So after they got the economy back going and they started trading and bringing trade back, then they started bringing what? Their military back. So in the last couple of years, you've been seeing what? Russia has the superior weaponry nowadays when it comes to military. All right. And now, like the scripture says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. All right. So Russia went from being like this mighty world power, the USSR. All right. The whole world had to band together against pretty much to take them out. You see what I'm saying? So, but now Russia's, you know, they fell from that state, but now they're coming back up into that same state, you know, with the Ukrainian situation, Russia getting back some more land and whatnot, you know, because what? Threats of NATO. NATO is surrounding Russia. All right. And that's what Esau's or the Americans' plan is to ultimately do, is to come up against Russia. All right. But nevertheless, the scripture says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. I will bring thee forth and all thy army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. It says, let me just read this through. Persia, Ethiopia, Libya with them, all of them with shields and helmets, Gomer and all his bands, in the house of Tomogah of the north quarters, and all of his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared, and prepare thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. All right, so it's talking about prepare thyself, and there's going to be you and a great company, like we just read out of the north country. All right, they was going to basically take Babylon with that great, it's going to be a military, a great army with a host of other with a great company with them. All right, and we're reading about this here now. I'm talking about Russia and their military. All right, bringing them back with their vast, great army. All right, and not only them, it's going to be a conglomeration of other militaries and armies with them. All right, but nevertheless, Russia's going to be the head of all these things, and Russia's the one that's selling and creating all these new weapons. This is what would pretty much put the stalemate or the end to the Syrian war. All right, and things like that. And as you see with the talks of going on in Venezuela and things like that, Russia's already jumping up to the plate. You know, they're not gonna wait to the last minute to try to jump in at the last minute. They trying to jump in before all these things escalate. All right, so dealing with the S-300, S-400 system, these missile defense systems, these are all considered what? Shields. All right, missile defense. Defense is like a shield. All right, so going to the scriptures, it says, verse 4, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thy army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor. All right, because they got what? They have hypersonic missiles, which you can't really touch them because they super fast. You ain't got shit to hit them with. All right, they got some things that you can't even pick up on radar. They actually got not to say, well, they got invisible cloaks, but then they also got cloaks that'll like turn a damn tank into a damn bicycle. You see what I'm saying? If you could look at it visually with your eye, you would just see a bicycle. All right. But nevertheless, they got all kind of shit like that. They got the S-400 system, S-300, S-500 system, so on and so forth. All right. They got these satellite killers. All right. They got these laser systems. All right. All these different things are also becoming what? Defenses unto them. They can be used for offense, but also defense. All right. But it says, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with them, but with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, which is Iran. All right. Ethiopia, Libya with them, and all of them with the shield and the helmet. All right. See, to keep going into this shield and the helmet, because why? Talking about defensive things. All right. This is one of the main things that Russia is pushing out to these other countries. That you're not really hearing that Russia's selling ICBM missiles to these other countries, but yet you're hearing Russia talking about them selling all sorts of armor and shields to them, missile defense systems. All right. Verse 6, Gomer and all his bands, the house of Tomorgah of the north quarters and all his bands and many people with them. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself. All right. And that's what you started seeing happening. Like I said, once Vladimir Putin got in office over there. All right. Thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. So not only is Russia going to start stepping up their own shit, but they're going to also be a hedge to these other nations, these other countries as well, too. And this is exactly what you're seeing going on. All right. Russia stepping up and being this weapons manufacturer, provider for these other nations, so they don't have to keep being under the American hegemony, have to keep being under their American rule. Look, man, you can only eat if you take our product or whatever, whatnot. You got to be down with us to eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, we need to eat. We need to eat. Not that we want to eat. We need to eat. But yeah, you telling us we got to come over here and do some fuck shit for you. We ain't with that. Oh, but there's somebody else that's selling food now. We'll gladly take that. All right. And this is what's going on right now. Russia, this is what's breaking this here divide, which is going to bring ultimately into what? World War III. All right. Between these here major superpowers. So all these little things like starting in Venezuela and all these other countries and things like that, this is nothing more than a trick bag or a hook inside of ultimately Esau's mouth, bringing his ass into the valley of let me grab that. We're going to close out with that. All right. This is Joel chapter 3 and 2. It says, I will gather all nations and bring them down to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, a part of my land. All right. Verse 9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares and the swords and your pruning hooks and the spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. All right. And this is what you see going on right now. These weaker nations are now becoming strong because Russia is providing that guard to them. Assemble yourselves and come all ye heathen, gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause the mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. Let the heathen be awakened and come down to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. For there will I sit and judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, and their wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the valley of decision. All right, so this is where this World War III is gonna culminate into. All right, ultimately, because of why the so-called white man has touched the apple of the Most High's eye, these other nations, they're gonna get their judgment as well too. So the Most High is bringing them all down into what? The Middle East. They're gonna bring them down to what? World War III. This is what's gonna ultimately happen. All right, but what? Esau Edom, well, the so-called white man here in America, who is also still Esau Edom, is keep pushing forward, but he don't realize he's like that damn fish, man. The more and more, you done chomp down on the bait, the more and more you fight, bro, you already caught, man. The only thing for you to do is just be reeled in. The more you fight, the more, you just tiring yourself out, making it easier for you to be reeled in. All right. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and close out. Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying into the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Aki, pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say stay strong and shalom.